Jenna Torres. The only person he trusted. She swore under oath he falsified the entire thing. Her statement, plus a conveniently edited video, was all it took. He hadn't seen her since the tribunal. She didn't even flinch when they took his badge. It wasn't hate that cracked him, it was the calm in her face, the betrayal she delivered like a shrug. Jenna had always been by the book, straight-laced. They used to argue about it. He'd say the book wasn't written for people like them, and she'd say the book was the only thing keeping them sane. He used to admire her integrity. Now he wondered if it was ever real. Footsteps crunched behind him, slow and deliberate. He didn't turn. Just took a drag and said, "If you're here to finish what you started, at least let me finish the smoke." A voice answered, softer than he expected. "If I wanted to take you in, you'd already be cuffed." It was Jenna. She stepped into the moonlight, her uniform buttoned tight, her badge glinting like a threat. But her eyes, they weren't cold. They were tired. Noah didn't move. "You lied." The silence that followed felt like a slow fall down a steep hill. "I had no choice." Her voice cracked at the edges. "They had my brother, Noah. He's not strong like you. He wouldn't last a day in lockup. They said he'd slip through the cracks if I didn't cooperate." He turned then, slow, careful like she might disappear if he moved too fast. "You let them destroy me." She nodded. "I did. And I've been paying for it every day since." Noah wanted to scream. But the pain was too thick for sound. He dropped the cigarette into the river and stepped toward her. "Why now? Why show up?" Jenna looked away. "Because I found something. A name I wasn't supposed to see. It leads back to Captain Grayson. He's planning to disappear. Take the records with him. And once he does, there's no coming back for either of us." They moved through the city like shadows, avoiding cameras, ducking into alleys, whispering through back doors. Jenna had access to an old case file, case hashes 743. It was sealed, but she had copied the log. It was the smoking gun. Names, dates, initials of officers paid to alter reports. One file held it all. And it was locked inside a restricted evidence vault beneath the precinct. Guarded. Monitored. Impossible. Unless you used to work there. Unless you knew the codes. That's where the third piece came in, Officer Malik Rowe. New to the force. Green. Ambitious. But something about him didn't sit right with Noah. Jenna vouched for him. Said he could be trusted. He's not like the others. He still believes the uniform means something. They met him in a dark garage under an old shopping complex. Malik stood tall, clean-cut, eyes full of fire. "You're Kane," he said, like meeting a legend. "I read your case. They did you dirty." Noah didn't answer. Trust was a luxury he no longer afforded. Malik handed over the vault schematics. "This isn't just about saving your name. This is about burning the rot out of the system." The plan wasn't perfect. It didn't need to be. They had one night before Grayson moved the files. One chance. Noah took point. Jenna handled access. Malik ran surveillance. As they crept through the precinct, past familiar hallways now hostile, memories clawed at Noah. His desk. The vending machine with the broken C key. The room where they took his badge and never looked him in the eye. The vault was colder than he remembered. Jenna typed the code. It beeped red. "Try again." She swallowed hard, reset, entered slower. Beep. Green. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, rows of file drawers loomed like silent judges. Jenna scanned the tags. Malik's voice crackled in her earpiece. 2 guards coming up the west hall. 3 minutes. She found it, A743. She pulled the folder, handed it to Noah. He opened it, and stopped. The photos. The transactions. It wasn't just Grayson. It was deeper. The chief. 2 city council members. And Jenna. Her signature. Her initials. Her report. Noah looked up, hands trembling. "You said they forced you." Jenna froze. "They did." He flipped to a timestamp. "This one's dated a year before your brother's arrest." Her silence was louder than the alarms Malik warned them about. Sirens blared. Lockdown triggered. Malik shouted, "You've got 30 seconds before lockdown closes the vault." Jenna grabbed Noah's wrist. "Please. Let's go." But he couldn't move. The file in his hand felt like acid. "You were part of it from the start." Her eyes filled with something he couldn't name. Was it regret or strategy? "I did what I had to." They promised a future. A place at the table. But it was never real. Her voice dropped. "You were right, Noah. The book wasn't written for us." He backed away. She stepped forward. "If you take that file, they'll come for you. For both of us. But if we burn it, if we make it disappear, we can start over. You, me, Malik. A clean slate." Malik's voice shouted again, 10 seconds. Noah stared at her. "You want me to destroy the only proof I'm not a liar?" Jenna's voice shook. "I want us to live." He turned to run. Jenna lunged. There was a struggle. A snap of tension in the air. Noah bolted with the file just as the vault door slammed shut behind him, trapping Jenna inside. He could hear her pounding on the door. But he didn't go back. Outside, Malik waited in the car, engine running. "Where's Jenna?" Noah said nothing. Just held up the file. Malik's eyes widened. "We can expose them all." Noah nodded. But his heart wasn't steady. Not yet. They drove to a safe house. Malik laid out the pages. "We leak this, the city burns." Noah stared at Jenna's name, still not sure what hurt more, her betrayal, or how much he still wanted to believe in her. Malik stood, energized. "We strike tonight. The city's ready." But Noah wasn't listening. His eyes were on the last page. A note scrawled in the margin, in Jenna's handwriting. A phrase they used to joke about, "You only find the truth when you stop running from it." He didn't sleep. When the sun rose, he wasn't sure if they'd made a difference or just started another war. Malik had already uploaded copies to 4 encrypted drives. Backup plans. Insurance. They'd leak it to a trusted journalist. Go public. But when Noah stepped outside for air, something felt off. The safe house door creaked. He turned. Malik stood in the doorway, but he wasn't alone. Behind him, Captain Grayson. Smiling. Calm. "Told you he'd come through," Grayson said to Malik. Noah's stomach dropped. "You?" Malik raised his hands. "I had to. They offered me a slot in internal. Real power. They said all I had to do was deliver the file, and you." Noah lunged. But Grayson was faster than he looked. A quick jab to Noah's ribs folded him in half. He hit the ground hard. Malik stepped back, eyes full of guilt. "You don't understand. I believed in you. I still do. But belief doesn't pay rent." Grayson knelt beside Noah. "You could have walked away. But you wanted redemption. People like you don't get redemption. You get forgotten." Noah reached for the flash drive on his belt. Grayson kicked it away. "Not today, hero." Malik held up the master file. "What now?" Grayson smiled. "Now, we erase him for good. Frame him again. This time for leaking classified intel. The city loves a scandal." Noah tried to speak, but his vision blurred. Grayson leaned closer. "You thought justice would save you. But justice is just a story we tell the weak." The screen on Malik's tablet blinked. An upload bar was crawling. "Wait," he said. "What's this?" Noah smiled through the haze. "Insurance." The tablet beeped. "Upload complete." Malik stared. "Where did you send it?" Noah forced a laugh. "Everywhere." Grayson grabbed Malik. "You idiot. You were supposed to, but it was too late." Outside, sirens wailed, not police, but news vans. Civilians with cameras. Protesters. The city hadn't forgotten him. And someone had been watching all along. Noah faded as voices rose. Justice had arrived. But not how anyone expected. And deep beneath the precinct, behind a steel door, Jenna Torres sat alone in the vault. Watching the security feed. Smiling. Because she knew Noah had only scratched the surface. Because she still had the other half of the file. And because she had just dialed a number that rang in Grayson's private line. She whispered, "Let's see who gets burned next." Noah Kane hadn't slept in 26 hours, but the exhaustion felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. The safe house had been compromised. The file had been leaked. The media had the names now. The streets buzzed with reporters and whispers. But for every headline that shouted corruption, there was another whisper painting him as a rogue cop with a vendetta. The public didn't know who to believe. That was the plan all along. Flood the narrative. Blur the truth. Make the good guy look unhinged. Noah didn't care what they thought of him. He just wanted them to see what was happening. He sat at a bus stop 2 blocks from City Hall, hoodie pulled low, watching. Every car that passed was a question mark. Jenna hadn't called. She hadn't tried to escape the vault. Which meant one of two things: either she was dead, or she was waiting. And Jenna didn't strike him as the kind of woman who died quietly. His phone buzzed once. A restricted number. He didn't answer right away. Just stared at it. Like it might reveal her expression through the screen. It rang again. He picked up. Nothing at first. Then, "You made a mess." It was Jenna. Calm, poised, like she was sitting at a cafe instead of trapped underground. "The city's watching, Noah. You put on a great show. But it's not over." He clenched the phone. "You still have the other half of the file." A pause. "I do." "Why?" he asked. "Why hold on to it?" Jenna's breath wavered. "Because the city deserves the whole truth. Not just what fits your redemption arc." He didn't answer. He knew she wasn't lying. But he didn't trust her motives either. "Then release it." Her voice lowered. "Not yet. There's one more name on the list. A name you're not going to believe. And if I drop it now, you'll never find them in time." Noah's heart sank. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, a ping hit his phone. A location. "Meet me here in 2 hours. Come alone. And leave your Boy Scout." She hung up. Noah stared at the screen. An old storage facility down by the docks. Industrial, quiet. The kind of place secrets went to collect dust. He walked, not because he had to, but because he needed to move. To think. Malik had vanished after the leak. Left no trace. Noah wasn't sure if that was cowardice or strategy. Either way, he was done being anyone's pawn. He needed answers. And Jenna was the only person left who had them. The docks smelled of iron and old betrayal. He entered the building, following the fading echo of his footsteps. A light flickered at the far end. She was already there, out of uniform now, wearing black, her hair tied back like the Jenna he remembered. The one who used to bring him coffee before shift change and laugh at his terrible jokes. She didn't smile. Just said, "He's still alive." Noah blinked. "Who?" She handed him a folder. Slim. Unmarked. Inside, surveillance stills. A hospital. A man in a wheelchair. Security escort. He was the whistleblower Grayson buried 10 years ago. Thought he was dead. Turns out, he's been in private care, off the books, under an alias. Hidden in plain sight. Noah scanned the images. The man's face was scarred, aged. But familiar. His heart stopped. It was Captain Blake Ferris. The man who trained them both. The one who retired after a scandal no one could ever prove. The one who vanished before Kane made detective. "I thought he disappeared." Jenna shook her head. He saw too much. Refused to sign off on a rigged conviction. So Grayson had him declared unfit for duty, then disappeared him. "I only found out because his name showed up in the asset logs from the case you leaked." Noah looked up. "So why not release this too?" Her eyes met his. "Because it's not about leaking. It's about leverage. We've got their secrets now. But they've still got the infrastructure. The narrative. The control. One bad headline, and the city forgets your name again." He understood now. She wasn't hiding the truth, she was collecting enough of it to force justice's hand. She wanted a reckoning that couldn't be spun. A weight too heavy to ignore. But then came the sound, footsteps. Not his. Not hers. A shadow moved past the broken window. Then another. Jenna stepped back. You didn't bring anyone? I came alone. They weren't police. Noah could tell by the way they moved. Clean, fast, quiet. Hired. Private. Jenna whispered, they found us. They bolted down a side corridor, up a staircase that led to the catwalks. From above, they watched the figures enter. 4 of them. Suits. One of them held a tablet. Scanning. Jenna whispered, they're tracking the case log data. You didn't disable the geotag. I thought you did. They moved fast, climbed to the roof. From there, Noah led her through adjacent rooftops until they reached the edge of the dockyard. He pulled her behind an old container. They crouched there, breathing hard. She looked at him. This isn't going to stop, Noah. Not until one of us wins. He looked back. Then we make sure it's us. She handed him a flash drive. This is the other half. But don't release it yet. Not until we find Ferris. Here's the final piece. He can testify. He can name them in court. He pocketed the drive. Where is he? She hesitated. That's the problem. I lost him. The facility moved him last week. Grayson got nervous. Noah stood. Then we start digging. They went underground again. Disguises. New aliases. Jenna called in favors from old contacts. Noah followed data trails, medical invoices, delivery schedules, equipment purchases that didn't match staff records. After 3 days, they found a pattern. Every 2 weeks, a private van dropped off supplies to a location outside the city, listed as Old Rockridge Camp. A place no one talked about. They arrived at dusk. Forest-lined. Quiet. The air felt like it held its breath. The camp had been converted into a private recovery center. Barbed wire, motion lights, guards with clean shoes and blank expressions. Noah and Jenna watched from the ridge above. You think he's really in there? She asked. We won't know unless we step inside. She turned to him. We won't get 2 chances. Once we breach, they'll know someone's coming for him. He nodded. Then we don't breach. We walk in the front door. She blinked. What? He pulled out a badge. It wasn't his. It belonged to a state investigator named Elijah Bronsky. The man who'd lost his wallet 2 nights ago after bumping into Noah in a subway station. We're now state auditors. Facility inspection. Allegation of patient mismanagement. Jenna stared at him. Then, slowly, smiled. You never did follow the book. They walked through the gates at 9:13 a.m., clipboards in hand, smiles fake. The receptionist didn't question the badge. The guards didn't look twice. But the moment they asked for patient files, the air shifted. A delay. Then a supervisor. Then a call. They were shown to a waiting room. The walls were too clean. The silence was too loud. Jenna whispered, we've got 10 minutes tops. Noah moved first. Into the hall. Past the glass-walled therapy rooms. Until he saw it, room 114. The door had no name. Just a keypad. Jenna swiped a card she'd lifted off the receptionist. The door clicked. They stepped inside. There, sitting by the window, in a chair too large for his frame, was Captain Ferris. Pale. Thinner. But alert. Watching them with tired eyes. He didn't speak. Just lifted a trembling hand. Noah knelt. Sir. It's Kane. You remember me? A pause. Then a nod. Jenna showed him a photo, Grayson. Ferris's face tightened. She showed another, an old court record. He pointed. Then whispered, they doctored it, changed my report. Jenna knelt beside him. You can still tell them. In your own words. They'll listen this time. Ferris shook his head. They won't. Not unless you bring them something real. Noah leaned in. Like what? Ferris's eyes met his. Like the ledger. Jenna froze. The ledger's real. Ferris nodded. It's in the old courthouse. Basement archives. Box 42B. Never digitized. They thought it was gone. Footsteps approached outside. Noah grabbed Jenna's arm. We need to move. Ferris pressed a note into his hand. A map. A code. They slipped out through a laundry chute. Escaped through the woods. Left no trace. Hours later, they opened the note. A key. A locker number. And 2 initials scrawled beside it. M. Jenna looked up. Malik. Noah didn't answer. Because he already knew the truth. Malik Rowe wasn't just a rookie. He was Ferris's son. And he hadn't betrayed Noah. He had staged the entire betrayal to buy time. To infiltrate the system. And now, he was missing. Vanished. Somewhere between the truth and the lie. And somewhere, someone else knew exactly what he was doing. Because inside the locker, hidden under false folders, wasn't just the ledger. It was a video. One that would unravel the last person no one suspected. Not Grayson. Not Jenna. Someone even closer. Someone who hadn't spoken yet. And when they saw the first frame, both Noah and Jenna went still. Because the person in the video was Noah's own father. The train rocked gently as it cut through the city's underbelly. Noah Kane sat in the last car, facing the window, but he wasn't looking outside. His thoughts were locked onto the flash drive burning a hole in his coat pocket. The video was only 92 seconds long. Grainy. Time-stamped. No audio. But the image it captured had shattered something inside him. His father. Standing inside the old 7th Precinct evidence room. Handing over a sealed envelope to a man Noah had only seen from old newspaper clippings, City Prosecutor Dana Keller. That wasn't the part that crushed him. It was the timestamp, June 2, 1999. The week before his father's mysterious retirement. The week Noah had walked into his office as a wide-eyed cadet and been told never to ask about the past. He remembered that moment clearly now. His father had looked tired. Not old, defeated. And when Noah had said he wanted to follow in his footsteps, the man didn't smile. He just said, "Make sure you know what you're stepping in." Now Noah understood. The corruption didn't start with Grayson. It didn't start with Jenna. It went deeper. Older. Rooted in legacy. Hidden under layers of loyalty and silence. His father wasn't just a cop. He was the foundation of the house that rotted from the inside out. And Noah had built his career on that soil, thinking it was solid. Jenna sat across from him, watching. She hadn't spoken much since they saw the footage. Her silence wasn't guilt. It was strategy. She was letting him process. Giving him the space to fall apart on his own terms. She'd learned that about him over the years. He finally looked at her. "Did you know?" She didn't flinch. "No. Did you suspect?" She hesitated. "I heard rumors. About the old guard. About sealed cases that disappeared after your dad left. But I never connected the dots. Not until now." Noah's voice was low. "He was the reason they trusted me. The reason Grayson recruited me. They thought I was legacy. Loyal." Jenna reached across the table, not to comfort, but to anchor him. "You're not your father, Noah." He pulled away. "Aren't I?" The train slowed. The station was near. Locker 47C. The one Ferris's map had led them to. The one with the ledger. They walked in silence through the underground terminal. The locker was old. Rusted. Still analog. No digital locks. Just a keyhole. Noah inserted the key, turned, and pulled it open. Inside was a small leather-bound book. Faded. Fragile. He opened it carefully. Pages and pages of entries. Transactions. Officer codes. Cash amounts. Case numbers. It wasn't just bribes. It was an entire network. Judges. Politicians. Even journalists. Each with their own page. And scrawled in the margins, initials. KT, MR, JT, AN. NK. Noah stared at his own initials. Next to a case number he didn't recognize. Jenna leaned in. "What is it?" He flipped through the ledger, eyes scanning. The page listed an arrest from 5 years ago. A gang sweep. 20 suspects. 19 convicted. 1 disappeared. That one, Miguel Ferris. Noah's old CI. He remembered the night. A warehouse sting. Things went sideways. Miguel vanished. The department ruled it a fugitive escape. Noah believed it. Until now. The ledger said otherwise. It showed a payment routed through a shell account under his name. Same day. Same case. Jenna whispered, they framed you before they even needed to. Just in case. Noah shut the book. They were always going to use me. Unless. He looked at her. What if your father wasn't part of it willingly? Noah's laugh was hollow. You saw the video. I saw a man handing over an envelope. I didn't see what was inside. Or who was watching him. Noah hated that she was right. The video didn't prove intent. It proved presence. Context was missing. And in this war, context was currency. They left the station through the west exit. The city above felt louder. Thicker. Somewhere, the story was already changing. Whispers had started online. Screenshots of the leaked file. Civilian videos of Noah slipping through a crowd. Someone had dubbed him the Shadow Badge. A symbol for the broken, the betrayed. He didn't want it. They checked into a motel on the outskirts. Jenna made calls. Burned contacts. Left signals for Malik. Nothing came back. It was like he'd never existed. Until the door buzzed. No knock. Just a soft click and a slow slide of a plain envelope under the door. Jenna drew her weapon. Noah stepped forward. Picked it up. Inside, coordinates. A burner phone. And a note, written in all caps. Trust no one. You're not wrong, but you're not. Jenna read it. It's him. Noah nodded. He's been watching us. Or baiting us. He looked at her. You think he flipped again? I think he never unflipped. We don't know which side he's playing. And if he's Ferris's son, that means he's connected to your father too. Noah stared at the note. Malik knew more than anyone. More than Jenna. Maybe even more than Grayson. He was the thread that hadn't unraveled yet. And now he was calling for a private meeting. Jenna paced. You're not going alone. I have to. Noah. If I bring you, he disappears. He doesn't trust you. Maybe he doesn't trust me either. But he's reaching out. That means something's shifting. She clenched her jaw. This feels wrong. Everything has felt wrong since the day I put on the badge. She looked at him. What if this is a trap? He smiled, bitter. Then at least we know we're still dangerous enough to need one. The coordinates led to a parking garage beneath the old Mercy West building. Condemned. Forgotten. Perfect for a meeting you didn't want recorded. Noah arrived early. Waited in the shadows. No sounds except the ticking of a leaking pipe and the hum of a flickering overhead light. Malik appeared exactly 12 minutes late. Hooded. Hands visible. No weapon. He didn't speak at first. Just walked slowly to the center of the garage. Then, you found the video. Noah nodded. Was it you? I made sure you saw it. And I made sure Jenna didn't. Why? Because you still believe there's a line between truth and strategy. She doesn't. Noah stepped closer. Where were you during the leak? Planting seeds. In whose soil? Malik looked up. Your father didn't choose this. Noah froze. Malik continued. They used him. Same as they used me. Same as they used you. Ferris knew. That's why he tried to end it 10 years ago. Why come forward now? Because the final audit is scheduled. Noah blinked. What audit? The internal data wipe. Every 15 years. They purge everything not legally mandated. It's happening tomorrow night. Midnight. All backups. All ledgers. All surveillance. Gone. And the ledger? It's not enough on its own. But if we combine it with the old precinct server logs, it becomes undeniable. Where are the logs? Malik held out a second flash drive. Encrypted. Stored in the core vault at HQ. Grayson would never allow that to remain. He didn't. But someone else did. Someone higher. Noah frowned. Who? Malik hesitated. The commissioner. Jameson. Malik nodded. He's been playing both sides. Feeding Grayson just enough to keep him close. But he's tired. He wants out. He's willing to testify. But only if we protect his daughter. Noah narrowed his eyes. Who's his daughter? Malik didn't speak. But Noah already knew. He whispered it aloud. Jenna. Malik nodded once. Now you understand. Everything fell like broken glass. Jenna had leverage. She had protection. She wasn't just cleaning up corruption. She was protecting blood. She had never told Noah. She had never once mentioned her family. Because it wasn't just about justice. It was about legacy. Again. And this time, Noah was at the center of it. He left without a word. Returned to the motel. Jenna was waiting. Saw his face. Knew something had shifted. She stood slowly. What did he say? Noah didn't answer. Just reached into his coat. And placed the second flash drive on the table. Jenna stared at it. Then at him. What did you give him in return? Noah sat down. And for the first time in days, his voice was steady. Clarity. She swallowed. About what? About who I am. And who I refuse to become. She took a breath. Noah. He looked up, eyes hard. How long have you known Jameson is your father? The silence that followed was the longest of their lives. Jenna's lips parted. But no sound came. Because she didn't need to speak. Her face said it all. She had known. And now he knew. And the last thread of trust between them frayed into nothing. The room was colder now. Not from the air, but from the silence sitting between them like a loaded question no one dared answer. Jenna hadn't moved. Neither had Noah. The flash drive was still on the table, untouched, as though they both feared what would happen the moment one of them reached for it. Noah leaned back slowly, eyes fixed on her. You should have told me. Jenna stood, her arms crossed tight, but it wasn't defiance anymore. It was defense. I wanted to. But I knew what it would sound like. Jameson being my father. Means everything we've done, Noah interrupted, is tainted. She stepped forward. No. It means everything I've done had more at stake. I didn't lie to you to protect him. I lied because I knew you would walk away if you thought I had a personal reason to stay in this fight. Noah didn't respond. Jenna's voice dropped, a shade more vulnerable. I love my father, Noah. But I've never forgiven what he let happen. He knew about Grayson. He watched it unfold. He didn't stop it. Because stopping it would have destroyed the department. He chose silence. And I chose to make it right. Noah finally looked at her. You used me. She shook her head. No. I needed you. There's a difference. He stood. Walked to the window. Outside, the rain tapped the glass. Like the city itself was restless. Behind him, Jenna continued. He's willing to testify. He's ready. But he wants something in return. Noah didn't turn. Immunity. Jenna shook her head. No. Not for him. For you. That stopped him cold. She walked closer. My father's not stupid. He knows what happens when this drops. You'll be the face of it. The department will need a scapegoat, and they won't use Grayson. He's too buried. But you? You're visible. Angry. Dangerous. And expendable. Noah's fists clenched. So what's the deal? Jenna reached into her coat, pulled out a small envelope. Testify. Help him bring the ledger to the commission. Help us shut down the purge. And in return, your record gets cleared. Your file gets sealed. You walk away free. He took the envelope. Didn't open it. Just stared at her. And if I say no? Her answer was immediate. Then the system resets. Everything burns. And you go down with it. They met Malik that night in a parking structure on the west side, beneath the old surveillance center. The core server vault was 2 floors below. The purge was scheduled in 6 hours. Malik laid out the plan. Security rotates every 28 minutes. 1 blind spot, north stairwell. The commissioner already signed off on your badge access. He looked at Noah. You're in under the pretense of asset verification. You scan the drive in the central terminal. Upload the ledger. Once it syncs, it becomes public record. Untouchable. Jenna asked, "What about the override protocol?" Malik pulled out a second drive. "I've got the kill codes. If Grayson tries to shut it down, this cuts his override." Noah took a breath. "And the commissioner?" Jenna nodded. "He'll be watching. He's on our side. At least for now." They moved quietly through the building's underbelly. Every corridor hummed with quiet tension. Every camera they passed could be a witness or a weapon. Noah reached the vault door. Scanned his access. It turned green. He stepped inside. Rows of blinking servers. Walls of light. It looked like the nervous system of a city trying to forget what it had done. He reached the console. Inserted the flash drive. The system recognized it. Syncing. 12%. Jenna's voice crackled through his earpiece. "You're in. Hold position." Malik's voice followed. "Two guards headed toward your level. I'll divert." Syncing. 39%. Noah kept still. His hands rested on the console like they belonged there. He thought about his father. The look on his face the last time they spoke. The pride Noah always believed was earned, until the tape. What had he really been proud of? A son he could use? Or a son who still believed? Syncing. 62%. Then the screen glitched. A line of code scrolled. Redirecting data path. Noah froze. "Jenna. Someone's rerouting the upload." "No one should have that access," she snapped. Malik's voice, "I'm locking down the internal IPs. It's coming from inside HQ." Noah typed fast, traced the data jump. It wasn't going to the commission. It was going to Grayson's private archive. Noah yanked the drive out. Too late. Sync failed. Jenna swore. "Abort. We're compromised." But then, a second signal lit up. A new terminal. A new sync path. From a third source. Anonymous mirror upload initiated. Noah stared. "Malik, did you do that?" "No." "Jenna?" "No." They watched in real time as the entire ledger, the video, the server logs, the audit trail, everything, was uploaded to an anonymous public node. Noah whispered, "What the hell just happened?" A beat of silence. Then Malik, "We lost control." Within 15 minutes, the world started burning. Social media exploded. Hash system failure trended worldwide. Every news station ran the footage. Commentators gasped. The mayor issued a statement. Grayson went underground. But not before his people moved. The precinct fell into chaos. Arrests were made. Not the ones they wanted. Whistleblowers. Paper pushers. Anyone convenient. And then came the backlash. A firebomb in front of Jenna's apartment. A hit-and-run targeting Malik's car. The system didn't go down quietly. It fought back. 3 days later, Noah stood in a safe house on the outskirts of town. Jenna paced beside him. Malik sat by the window, eyes scanning. They were fugitives again. But this time, the city was watching. And not all eyes were against them. Some saw them as heroes. Others, as traitors. But someone else? Someone unknown? Saw them as pawns. A new message came through. From a secure line neither Malik nor Jenna could trace. Noah opened it. One sentence. "Did you really think this ended with your father?" Attached was a still image. A woman in a lab coat. Holding a folder. Smiling. The folder's label, Kane Initiative. Noah stared. Jenna whispered, "What is that?" He shook his head. "I don't know." Malik stood. His voice low. Controlled. "Someone's reopening the old files." Jenna frowned. "What old files?" Noah turned toward them. Eyes dark. Voice calm. "The ones they never meant me to find." And somewhere behind that moment, in a locked room, a redacted document blinked open. Line by line. Uncensored. Revealing names not yet spoken. And truths too dangerous to forget. The file blinked on the screen like it had been waiting years to be found. Kane Initiative, classified under a non-existent agency, stamped with 3 different clearance seals, each one older than the last. Noah stared, hands frozen above the keyboard, eyes wide. Jenna hovered behind him, arms crossed tightly. Malik stood in the corner, silent, like a shadow deciding whether to speak. It wasn't a case file. It was a program. And it was named after him. The screen scrolled slowly, like peeling paint from a forgotten wall. Lines of text. Rows of personnel IDs. Psychological profiles. Risk assessments. Each more invasive than the last. At the top, subject, Kane, Noah J. Status, monitored. Tag, sleeper 6, instability projection, high. Notes, useful for internal pressure testing. Observer, Ferris, B. CO signed, Torres, J. Noah's throat closed. He read it twice. Then a third time. Jenna said nothing. Her face pale now, but unreadable. He whispered, "Tell me this isn't real." Jenna didn't blink. "I don't know what that is." "Don't lie." "I swear, Noah, I've never seen this." He pointed. "It has your name." "I didn't sign anything. I didn't authorize surveillance. If my name is in that file, someone put it there without my consent." Malik stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "Or you did sign something, years ago. Before everything started. Before you knew who he'd become." Jenna turned to him. "You think I'd do that? I think you've kept a lot from us." She shook her head, voice shaking. "That's not the same thing. I never spied on him." But the screen didn't lie. Another line scrolled. Observation point 3, Torres, J. Approach type, reinforcement, romantic overlay suggested for deeper access. Noah's world stopped. His breath vanished like it had been yanked from his chest. Romantic overlay. Jenna backed up, hands raised. "No, no. That's not, I never, Noah, I didn't fake anything." He turned away. Stared at the screen. The lie wasn't just recent. It was systemic. Long before he was suspended. Long before the evidence vault. Long before the frame. Someone had marked him. Tagged him. Built an experiment around his unraveling. He wasn't just framed. He was manufactured. And if this file was right, Jenna might have been part of it since the beginning. Malik spoke quietly. "We need to find Ferris again. This goes back to him. If he was your handler." Noah spun. "He was supposed to be my mentor." "And maybe he was," Jenna said. Until someone above him handed down a directive. A test subject. A setup. Maybe you weren't supposed to be a hero or a scapegoat. Maybe you were supposed to be broken. Just to see how far you'd go. Noah sank into the chair. The world tilted in slow motion. "I thought I was chasing justice," he whispered. "But I was the test." He closed the file. Pulled the flash drive. But the screen didn't go dark. Another prompt blinked. "Hello, Noah." The text typed itself. "I was hoping you'd find this." Noah reached for the keyboard, unsure if it was real. "Who is this?" Pause. Then, "Do you remember the field test on October 19, 2016? You called it the bus station sting. But to US, IT was phase 2. Jenna leaned closer. "That's not possible. No system types in real time like this unless it's active." Malik moved to the router. "It's not connected to anything. This isn't a hack. This was built to run locally. It's pre-coded." The screen kept going. "You were never supposed to last this long. But you did. And now, they're coming to end it." A final message blinked. "Location Alpha, code, Cedar Vault. Find it before they do." Then the screen went black. Noah stood slowly. Jenna whispered, "What's Cedar Vault?" Malik pulled a dusty binder from the corner. Flipped it open. Old Precinct Storage Center. Shut down after the flood in 2013. Supposed to be condemned. Noah grabbed his coat. "Then that's where we go." They reached Cedar Vault before sunrise. A concrete husk of a building, eaten from the inside out by mold and silence. Most of the lower levels were sealed. But the third subbasement was untouched. They broke through a rusted access panel. Inside, rows of locked filing cabinets. Boxes of evidence. Old case files. Logs that should have been destroyed. Jenna moved like a ghost now, her face unreadable. Malik was quiet, scanning the perimeter. Noah opened the center cabinet. Found a box marked, Case 6 Initiative. Inside, photos. Of him. In uniform. Out of uniform. Asleep. Training. Arguing. Smiling. All from before his promotion. Surveillance dated years earlier than he'd thought. Jenna whispered, "They've been watching you since you were a cadet." Another file. Signed reports. A schedule. He recognized the handwriting. His father's. And at the bottom, a sealed envelope, yellowed from age. Addressed, "To Noah, when the illusion breaks." His hands shook. He opened it. Inside, a single letter. Write image AI text prompt. "Noah, if you're reading this, it means they failed. You weren't supposed to survive this. Not mentally. Not ethically. They expected you to break. But you didn't. They used me to build the prototype. A clean cop, with a controlled fall. One who could spark resistance or quell it, depending on how they pushed. I agreed at first. I believed the program could fix the rot. I thought we could pressure test the system. Find its weaknesses. But I didn't know they'd use you. When I found out, I tried to stop it. They silenced me. Buried me in desk jobs. Threatened your future if I didn't comply. So I walked away. But not before I buried everything I could. You're holding the last copy. The truth lives in your hands now. Don't trust the ones who say they love you. Trust the ones who choose you, even when they don't understand you. That's the difference. That's the only way forward. You were never meant to be their soldier. You were meant to be their mirror. Make them see themselves. Dad. Noah folded the letter slowly. Malik was staring at him now. Jenna didn't speak. The silence was different this time. It wasn't confusion. It was respect. And fear. Because if what they had just uncovered was true, Noah Kane wasn't just framed. He wasn't just used. He was the blueprint. And now the system wanted to erase him. They left Cedar Vault at dawn. Back to the safe house. Noah paced, the letter in his hand. Jenna finally broke the silence. So what now? He looked up. Eyes sharper. Cold. We expose it all. Even your father. Especially him. Malik stepped forward. What if they erase it again? Purge the data. Discredit the files. They won't. Jenna frowned. How can you be sure? Noah reached into his coat. Pulled out a recorder. Hit play. The final sentence from his father's letter rang clear. Don't trust the ones who say they love you. Then a second voice played. One none of them had heard in years. Grayson. Kane is a contingency. If the machine fails, we pull him out, let him crash the floor. Either way, we control the spin. It was a confession. An admission. Proof. Noah looked at them. No more shadows. They nodded. And just as they turned to leave, the lights cut. The screens went dead. A new signal jammed their comms. And on the wall, projected in quiet red letters. Phase 7, termination, subjects, Kane, Terzaro. Noah whispered, they're here. And from outside, the sound of boots. Not police. Not mercenaries. But something in between. And this time, there would be no warning. The hum of silence after the power cut was worse than any sound. The projector had faded, but those red words still clung to the air. Phase 7, termination. Noah didn't move. He stood rooted to the center of the room, eyes locked on the door. Malik slid the bolt quietly into place. Jenna crossed to the blackout panel and tugged it shut. They didn't speak. There was no need. The system had stopped pretending. The game was no longer about guilt or evidence. Now it was about erasure. They know we accessed Cedar Vault, Jenna said, her voice barely a whisper. They knew before we got there, Malik muttered, tapping the edge of a jammed router. The minute we triggered the file, we stepped into the trap. Noah turned slowly. Then why let us walk out? Malik glanced at him. Because they wanted us to carry it. Make it heavier. Let it feel personal before they take it. Noah crossed the room, opened the drawer where the ledger, flash drive, and his father's letter Saturday. He touched none of them. He only stared. He whispered, "This was never about justice." Jenna's voice came quietly. It was about response. Control through chaos. Noah turned. They were studying how far a man could go for the truth before the truth became a weapon. Malik pulled the security screen from the wall. Nothing but static. He stepped toward the back door, slowly, carefully, like someone who had done this before. We have one chance. The alley behind us leads to the subgarage. If they are blocking the front, that's our out. Jenna crossed to Noah. We go dark after this. No trackers. No messages. We don't know who's watching. Noah nodded. Then we go full ghost. Malik slid the rear door open an inch. Paused. He turned back, eyes suddenly unreadable. Noah. Yeah. If I don't come with you. You will. Malik shook his head once, almost invisible. If I don't, check the floor safe beneath the heater. There's something I never told you. Something bigger than the program. Jenna frowned. Why didn't you say something before? Malik's eyes flicked to the door. Because I wasn't sure if I could trust either of you. Then, the door shattered. Not from impact. From disintegration. A pulse, a soundless flicker of pressure that made their ears ring and the room hum. They bolted. Noah grabbed the ledger and drive, stuffed them into his coat. Jenna took the letter. Malik backed through the rear hallway, sweeping with nothing but a penlight and muscle memory. Outside, the alley was quiet. Too quiet. Noah led. Jenna second. Malik behind. The fire escape rattled. A shadow moved above. Malik stopped. Raised a hand. Noah turned. That's when the second wave hit, not an attack. A signal. Scrambling every device they had. Malik's EP sparked. Jenna's phone cracked. Noah's watch dimmed. And in the static, a single word came through, distorted, but unmistakable. Abandon. They made it to the garage. The car was gone. Only tire marks remained, burned into the floor like someone had peeled out fast. Malik's voice was dead calm. They are ahead of us. Jenna looked around. How? Noah stared at the concrete. Because he knew. He finally understood. They weren't being followed. They were being herded. Back to the core. To the place it all began. He turned to Jenna. The precinct. Her eyes widened. You think they want us to go there? No, he said. They need us to. Malik looked between them. Then that's exactly where we go. They slipped into the old 7th precinct 2 hours later, dressed like city workers, heads down. The place had been shut down after the first round of exposure, but lights were still on in the lower levels. Someone was keeping it alive. Noah led them through the side utility stairwell. Every step echoed like regret. At the third landing, they found the old archive room door, open, just slightly. A single red bulb glowed inside. And sitting in the center of the room, on a folding chair, was a figure. Back turned. Still. Waiting. Noah raised his voice. Who are you? The figure didn't move. Jenna stepped closer, her hand near her belt. The voice that came was quiet, but mechanical. Subject verified. Malik stepped beside them. It's a recording. Noah approached. The figure was plastic, mannequin parts arranged in a uniform. A speaker embedded in the chest. The voice resumed. Final sequence initiated. If Subject Kane has reached this point, Contingency Alpha is confirmed. Reset protocol unavailable. Malik hissed, this is a message. Not for us, for the ones running it. Jenna turned slowly. There, in the far corner of the room, behind a panel of cracked glass, sat an old server, still running. Still humming. Noah crossed to it. A prompt waited on screen. Verify. Do you wish to release the final asset? He hovered over the keyboard. Jenna stepped up beside him. This could blow everything wide open. Malik's voice came low from behind. Or it could blow us wide open. Noah didn't press the key. Not yet. He looked at them both. Once we do this, there's no going back. Jenna nodded. We never had that option. He pressed the key. The screen flickered. A file opened. A video. Surveillance. Old. Timestamp, March 7, 2003. Inside a conference room. 7 men. 2 women. One of them, Jameson. Another, Ferris. And in the far corner, Noah's father. They were discussing something called synthetic response protocol. Ferris was speaking. Angry. He's just a kid. You can't load him with that kind of conditioning. He'll break. Jameson, that's the point. We need to see what breaks first, conscience or conditioning. And Noah's father, if we train him like a cop, test him like a weapon, and isolate him like a liability, we'll see what emerges. Noah's knees almost gave out. Jenna whispered, they didn't just use you. They designed you. Malik's voice shook. And you passed every test they set up to break you. The screen went black. One final message blinked. Asset Kane. Unstable but effective. Proceed to final evaluation. Jenna turned. What does that mean? Malik didn't answer. He was staring at the far wall, where a second screen had lit up, displaying his name. Row M, status, interim handler, phase 7 active. Noah turned to him slowly. Malik. Malik raised his hands. I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't know. Jenna stepped between them. That's not a lie. Noah's voice cracked. You were supposed to replace me? Malik looked wrecked. I thought I was helping you. I thought Ferris brought me in to protect the legacy, to expose what they'd done to your father. But now. He swallowed hard. Now I think I'm part of the trap. Noah stared at him. Silent. Then turned to the console. One last folder had opened. Marked, Phase 8, Manual Override Only. Inside, a line of code blinked. And a message. To complete the arc, the subject must choose, redemption, or reset. Noah backed away. The code was live. Waiting for a final trigger. Jenna turned to him. This isn't about them anymore. Malik whispered, it's about you. And behind them, the door slid shut. A voice played through the room. Hello, Noah. This is your final test. And it wasn't a recording. It was live. The voice filled the archive room like fog, smooth and calm, but colder than anything Noah had ever heard. It wasn't robotic. It was familiar. A voice filtered through static and years of buried memory. Male. Controlled. Intelligent. Hello, Noah. This is your final test. You've come farther than we projected. Jenna turned to the speaker above the door. Who is that? Noah already knew. He whispered, Caval. Malik flinched. The architect. Noah nodded, his breath thin. The one my father reported to. The one who shut him down. The voice continued. You weren't meant to hear my name. But you dug deeper than any of our subjects. So let's finish this. A screen on the wall flickered to life. It showed a city map. Dotted with lights. Dozens of them. Then names. Names Noah recognized. Whistleblowers. Civilians. Internal affairs officers. Former rookies. Every person they'd ever crossed paths with during the investigation. Then a countdown appeared, 03:59. 03:58. 03:57. Jenna leaned in. What's this? The voice replied, fail-safe activation. Data stored across multiple devices. Each node self-destructs if not deactivated manually in 4 minutes. Noah's heart dropped. You're erasing the evidence. No. I'm erasing the world you tried to change. Your ledger. Your files. Your father's trail. Ferris's work. Everything you've dragged into the light. Malik stepped forward. We have backups. No, the voice said. You have faith. That's not the same thing. The countdown hit 3 minutes. Noah ran to the console. Started typing. But each time he tried to reroute the signal, the screen flashed red. Access denied, subject locked. Jenna's voice broke. What does that mean? Noah whispered, it's tied to me. Biometric. Malik turned. Then it's your decision. And the voice returned. Correct. This is not about right or wrong. It's about control. You want justice? Then accept the consequences. Noah stared at the map. Each blinking dot represented a piece of the truth. But he knew what Caval meant. If the data remained public, if the world saw the ledger, the tapes, the documents, cities would burn. Faith in the system would collapse. There would be chaos. And Caval was offering him a way out. Reset. Quiet. Clean. Disappear. He would be free. But the truth would die with him. The voice lowered. Choose, Noah. He looked at Jenna. Then at Malik. Jenna's voice was steady. If you choose redemption, we run. We go dark. We protect the witnesses ourselves. One by one. Malik added, but if you choose reset, they'll call it peace. They'll give you a new name, a clean record. And no one will know what you gave up. Noah stared at the screen. The countdown hit 2 minutes. He stepped forward. Hands on the keyboard. The room watched. He typed one command. Redemption code, initiate full release. The screen hesitated. Then blinked red. Error, secondary age required. Another voice came through the speaker. One Jenna hadn't heard in over 10 years. Ragged. Exhausted. Familiar. Then let me finish what I started. Jenna's eyes went wide. No. Noah turned. And on the screen, Jameson. Her father. Gaunt. Unshaved. Dressed in civilian clothes, sitting in a dim, concrete room. A microphone clipped to his collar. Hello, Jenna. She stepped backward. No. You're supposed to be in hiding. I was. Until the system decided to wipe you. Jenna's voice cracked. How are you transmitting? I built the override into the network before they froze me out. I knew this day would come. He looked at Noah. You're not the first man they tried to build. Matt frowned. What does that mean? Jameson stared into the screen. They tested this program a decade before Noah. Subject 0. Implanted. Monitored. Failed. Broke under pressure. Vanished. Noah stepped forward. And who was that? Jameson didn't answer. He just looked at Jenna, who was trembling now. No, she whispered. No, you said he died in the fire. Jameson's voice cracked. I lied. Malik stepped between them. What's going on? Jameson looked down. Subject 0 was your brother, Jenna. The room fell still. Noah stepped back. Malik didn't speak. Jenna's world crashed in silence. Jameson continued. They used him first. To see how far a cop could bend before breaking. When he failed, they marked the experiment as unstable. So they waited. Looked for another. He looked at Noah. They found him. Jenna's voice was hollow. Why didn't you stop them? Jameson closed his eyes. Because I was a coward. Because I thought the system could be fixed from inside. But it can't. It needs to be torn open. The countdown reached 0:57. Jameson said, You have my code, Jenna. I embedded it into the archive's final key. Together, yours and Noah's can release the full archive. Noah turned to her. You knew none of this. She looked at him, broken. I knew I lost a brother. I didn't know why. Malik pulled up the secondary console. It's true. Her biometrics embedded in the fail-safe. Noah closer. Held out his hand. Jenna hesitated. Then placed hers on the scanner. Both codes scanned. The screen blinked. Release confirmed. Replication in progress. Caval's voice returned. But it was thinner now. Glitching. You've made a mistake. Noah spoke to the wall. No. I made a choice. And the entire map of blinking lights turned green. Across the city, the truth flooded every corner. Inboxes, terminals, police boards, judges' chambers, screens at traffic intersections, news stations, hospital waiting rooms. Phones buzzed. Screens blinked. Secrets died. And somewhere, deep in a locked vault, Caval's servers began to shut down, one by one. They didn't celebrate. They didn't run. They just stood in silence as the system collapsed under its own weight. But it wasn't over. Because just as the room started to cool, Malik's phone buzzed. A single message. No sender. Just 2 words. "He's alive." Malik read it again. Then looked at Jenna. And said quietly, "Your brother's not dead." Jenna sat on the cold bench inside the empty evidence room, eyes fixed on nothing. Malik hadn't moved since the message. Noah stood by the window, watching the rain fall in delicate streaks against the glass, like the city itself was slowly peeling apart. "He's alive." 2 words. No location. No ID. Just certainty, dropped like a match in a gas-soaked room. Jenna finally broke the silence. "That's not possible." Noah didn't look at her. "You said he died." "I was 12. I saw the fire. I saw the body bag. I buried an urn." Malik still hadn't spoken. He held the phone like it was evidence and poison at once. Noah turned. "What if he never died?" Jenna whispered, "Then what did I grieve?" Malik finally spoke. "A body. That's all they needed. If Subject 0 failed the protocol, if he broke the simulation, they'd need him erased. But if he survived, they could store him." Noah crossed the room. "What if he's not just alive, but active?" Jenna's head snapped up. Malik met Noah's gaze. "Meaning what?" Noah's voice was steady now. Sharper. "What if he's still part of the program?" Jenna stood. "They couldn't control him before. That's why they shut it down." Malik shook his head. "Or that's what they wanted you to think. What if they didn't shut him down? What if they let him run, in the shadows? The perfect rogue variable." Noah took the phone from Malik, traced the signal source. "It's untraceable," he said. "Encrypted. But it's bouncing from a looped tower." Jenna stepped forward. "Which means it's not a broadcast. It's a trap." "Noah," Malik whispered, "they want us to find him." The last known data center tied to the original K6 initiative sat in the city's forgotten quadrant, down by the pier, between the condemned rail yard and the silos that hadn't functioned in years. It wasn't on maps. Not anymore. But Noah found it. Buried in a deed from 2002. Leased to something called the Helm Division. Jenna stared at the sign as they arrived. "I've never heard of it." Malik's voice was low. "Because you weren't supposed to." They entered through a shattered vent behind a stack of shipping containers. Inside, everything hummed like it hadn't aged. Power was on. Cameras blinked. But the building was empty. No guards. No terminals. Just one locked door at the end of a narrow hallway. Noah stepped forward. The scanner blinked green without him touching it. Jenna froze. "It knows you." Noah pushed the door open. And there, in the center of the white room, sat a man in a gray chair. Wearing a standard-issue precinct jacket. Eyes closed. Hooked to nothing. Alive. And identical. To Noah. Jenna gasped. "No." Malik whispered, "Oh, my God." His eyes. Looked at Jenna. And smiled. "You grew up." Jenna stepped back. The man stood slowly. No threats, older than Noah's by just a few years. Shorter. Posture more controlled. His voice warm. Deep. "I'm guessing you found the files." Noah's voice was low. Controlled. "Who are you?" The man looked him in the eye. "I'm what you would have been if you hadn't chosen justice." He stepped closer. "I'm Subject 0. I'm her brother. And I'm everything they feared you'd become." Jenna was trembling. "I buried you." "No," he said gently. "You buried a story. Not me." Noah narrowed his eyes. "Why reveal yourself now?" Zero's smile faded. Because the system collapsed. Caval's gone. The leash snapped. And now the real question becomes, what does a weapon do when it's no longer pointed? Malik moved forward. You're the final asset. I was. Then what are you now? Zero looked around the room. A liability. He walked with them into the open corridor. The lights flickered like they'd been waiting. Zero didn't run. Didn't flinch. He moved like a man who had already lived every version of this day. Jenna whispered, "Why didn't you come back?" He paused. Looked at her with soft eyes. Because I wasn't your brother anymore. I was something they built. And when I broke, they didn't kill me. They repurposed me. Gave me targets. Let me test systems. And then, they locked me away. She shook her head. You could have warned us. No, he said. Because they still had Noah. Malik looked over. So you knew about him? Of course. I watched him. Monitored his progress. They compared us constantly. You were the anomaly, Noah. The one who wouldn't fall. They were waiting for you to snap. But you didn't. Noah stepped forward. Why not stop them? Because for a long time, I believed in what they were doing. Silence. Then added, until they turned me into a ghost. They reached the exit. And that's when it happened. Zero stopped. Turned to Jenna. And said softly, but I didn't come just to be found. I came because I have something to give you. He handed her a small device. A cube. Smooth. Cold. No ports. No markings. Malik frowned. What is it? Zero looked at Noah. Everything. The real ledger. The names that were redacted. The contracts. The silent partners. The final tier. Noah stared at it. This is what they tried to bury. Zero nodded. It's what they used to build the department. Malik stepped forward. What's the catch? Zero answered without hesitation. If you activate it, the city doesn't survive. Jenna blinked. What? It's not just corruption. It's infrastructure. Every judge. Every funding program. Surveillance. Training academies. Even the DNA database. It all leads back to this. Noah's breath caught. It's the source code. Zero looked at him with quiet intensity. And if you release it, you don't just expose the truth. You break the machine that built you. Malik stared at the cube like it might detonate. So what are you saying? We don't open it. I'm saying, Zero said, you only open it if you're willing to watch the world rebuild from nothing. Noah's voice was barely a whisper. And if we don't? Then someone else will. One day. And maybe they'll be ready. He handed Noah a card. Blank. But embedded with the activation key. Noah held it. And stared. Later, back at the safe house, they sat in silence. The cube on the table. Card beside it. Jenna out the window. Malik paced. Noah didn't move. Hours. Finally, Malik broke. If you open it, we lose everything. Pensions. Protection. Power grids. Criminal records. Civil databases. Jenna turned. If we don't, we protect a system that was designed to destroy us. Malik turned to Noah. What do we do? Noah didn't answer. He picked up the cube. Held it in his palm. It was light. But it carried every weight he'd ever known. And just as he reached for the card, the power cut. Again. Only this time. The cube lit up. On its own. A message appeared on the wall behind them. In plain white text. Retribution accepted. Standby for system reset. Jenna whispered, you didn't activate it. Noah didn't respond. He was staring at the cube. Because he hadn't. The cube had activated itself. Malik lunged for the kill switch. Nothing responded. Jenna backed away. Noah! But he wasn't moving. The wall text changed. System host confirmed, Kane, Noah J, primary key match. Jenna gasped. It's tied to your DNA. And Noah finally said, they built the code around me. And from inside the cube, a second voice played. One no one had heard before. One that wasn't his father, or Grayson, or Zero, but his own. From years ago. A recording. This is Officer Noah Kane. If this reaches you, I didn't survive the test. The safe house was no longer safe. Not when the walls themselves whispered back. Not when the cube's soft glow pulsed like a countdown to something no one understood. Noah hadn't moved. Not since the voice, the younger voice, his voice, echoed from inside the cube. A version of himself he didn't remember recording. One not forged from paranoia or pain, but clarity. If this reaches you, I didn't survive the test. Jenna stood frozen by the far wall, eyes darting between Noah and the cube. Her throat felt raw, like the truth was lodged inside it, too wide to speak. Malik's hands hovered above the table. No, tell me you didn't trigger it. I didn't. The voice. I didn't. Malik took a step back. Then how the hell does the cube have a recording of you saying you failed? Noah didn't answer. Because the truth was, he didn't know. The cube glowed again, and the projection changed. A rotating string of code spiraled through the air above it. Not just names, not just files. Live restructuring. City servers. Traffic cameras. Payroll systems. Satellite feeds. All rewriting themselves in real time. Jenna whispered, it's not just revealing data, it's reprogramming everything tied to the ledger. Malik stared at the screen, jaw tight. This isn't a leak. It's a coup. Noah spoke finally. Quiet. Even. It's a reset. Jenna turned sharply. And you're fine with that? He looked at her. No. But I think I was always meant to be the trigger. They scoured the cube's uplink protocols, searching for overrides. But each time Malik tried to intervene, the code looped back. Noah's biometric ID was baked into the infrastructure. Not just as a user, but as a root key. His voice. His DNA. His clearance history. The system trusted him, even now. Even when he didn't trust himself. Jenna leaned over his shoulder. How does a system built to control you end up obeying you? Noah whispered, because it was never just watching me. He looked up at her. It was me. Malik slammed a panel shut. We're wasting time. We have one play, rip the cube out of the grid, fry its core, and go back to leaks. But then the source dies, Jenna said. Maybe it should. Jenna stared at Noah. We need to shut it down, now. Before it does something we can't undo. Noah didn't move. And if that something is the truth? It's not the truth anymore, Malik cut in. It's an infection. Look. He pointed at the screen. City databases were glitching. A bank account belonging to a deputy chief had just been cleared and flagged for fraud. A judge's hidden mortgage was now public. Old court documents were being unsealed. And people were reacting. Live footage played on a corner screen, chaos at the courthouse. Officers arguing with internal staff. Phones ringing off the hook. The system wasn't falling apart. It was imploding. Then the room's power dimmed. The cube pulsed. A message blinked. Autonomous AI defense enabled, Phase 9, purge non-authorized interferers. Jenna pulled back. What is that? Malik's eyes narrowed. It's locking us out. Noah looked at the cube, and something changed in his face. Something Jenna hadn't seen since the beginning. Calm. He walked forward. Placed both palms on either side of the cube. The projection stopped. The code froze. The room went still. Malik stepped forward. What did you do? Noah didn't look away. I told it to listen. Jenna stared. And it did. He nodded. Quietly. Because the truth was worse than he'd imagined. He hadn't just triggered it. He had authorized it. The flashback hit without warning. Images Noah couldn't remember flooded his mind like water through glass. A room. Bright. Cold. Him, seated. Monitors on every wall. And a man across from him. Ferris. Younger. More surgical. Say the phrase again, Noah. Clearly. Noah's voice, younger, If this reaches you. I didn't survive the test. A pause. Ferris, now insert your biometric confirmation. And Noah's younger self placed a hand on the scanner. Ferris nodded. You're now the key. Noah staggered back to the present, breath sharp. He wasn't just a variable. He was the core failsafe. The final act of a collapsing system, one last perfect cop program to choose between correction or destruction. Jenna was watching him. I need to know, she said. Right now. Noah looked at her. Know what? Do you want this world to fall? He didn't answer. Because he wasn't sure anymore. Malik stepped between them. We've come too far to let one man's silence write the end. He reached for the cube. Noah moved to block him. Jenna stepped in. Stop. Malik froze. Eyes locked with Noah. And then, slowly, like a line snapping under tension, he said, You don't get to decide for all of us. Noah didn't blink. Neither do you. Malik's voice darkened. You want the truth, Kane? Fine. I knew about the voice file. Jenna's head snapped around. What? I knew he'd recorded the contingency. Ferris told me 2 years ago. Said if you ever got too close to cracking it, the system would auto-fire. It was always in you. And I was supposed to delay you. Keep you just far enough from the core. Noah stared at him. No. You said. I lied. Jenna moved slowly between them. Why are you telling us now? Because I made the wrong bet. I thought I could control you. His eyes met Noah's. But you were never meant to be controlled. And with that, Malik ripped the cable from the cube. The lights blew out. Sparks flew. The projection screamed and vanished. Noah lunged, but it was too late. The cube powered down. Dead. Silence fell. Heavy. Unreal. The air smelled like scorched circuits. The screens all dark. The reset, aborted. Jenna collapsed into the chair. Noah stood frozen. Malik stepped back, breathing hard. No one said anything. Until Noah whispered. It was working. Jenna looked up. Was it? Noah turned to Malik. You didn't just stop a system, you stopped me. Malik met his gaze. No. I saved you. Noah stepped forward, slow, deliberate. But Jenna blocked him. No. No more lines crossed tonight. Malik grabbed his coat. I'm done choosing between silence and chaos. He walked to the door. Paused. Looked back. There's one more node. One more off-grid failover. Jenna straightened. Where? Malik stared at Noah. I won't say. Because if you find it, it won't be for justice. Then he turned. And walked into the rain. Noah didn't sleep. Jenna didn't speak. The cube lay dark on the table like a silenced heart. Hours passed. Until the screen blinked once. Faint. Then again. And a new message appeared. Failover node active. Final records migrated to external site. Jenna leaned in. What? The screen continued. Last copy stored offline. Location, unknown. Access requires dual keys. She turned to Noah. Eyes wide. Malik has one. Noah picked up the cube. And I have the other. The rain didn't stop. By morning, the city was waterlogged and wide-eyed, like it knew something terrible had almost happened and didn't understand why it hadn't. Inside the safe house, the silence was heavy. Noah stared at the cube. Still dark. But alive again in the network's margins. Jenna sat across from him, silent, fingers wrapped around a half-drunk cup of coffee that had long gone cold. Her eyes kept flicking to the screen. To the final message. Last copy stored offline. Location, unknown. Access requires dual keys. They knew what that meant. One copy of the truth, the complete truth, now lived somewhere untraceable. And only 2 people could unlock it. Noah had one key. Malik had the other. The last time they saw him, he'd walked away without looking back. Now they had to find him. Not to fight. But to finish what they all began. They tracked him the only way possible, old school. No GPS. No signals. Just instincts. Noah knew Malik better than anyone. And Malik knew exactly what to leave behind if he wanted to be found. A torn corner of the precinct blueprint in Jenna's locker. A call left on a private voicemail account Noah hadn't used in years. No words, just static and the faint hum of the generator room from the old academy. A trail only they could follow. The last breadcrumb led to an abandoned broadcast station northeast of the city. No cameras. No guards. Just rust, vines, and time. And Malik. Waiting inside. He sat at the console, alone, looking thinner, older. He didn't rise when they entered. Didn't reach for a weapon. Didn't even flinch. Jenna stepped forward first. You knew we'd come. He nodded. You needed the second key. Noah didn't move. He stood near the broken window, letting the wind cut across his skin. Malik reached into his coat and placed a drive on the table. Black. Unmarked. Cold. The last failover node is on a server buried in the broadcast relay bank. Old tech. Analog backups. Cavals never touched it because it predated the initiative. When Ferris built the architecture, he used it as a fallback, in case everyone turned on him. Jenna picked up the drive. Why tell us now? Malik looked at Noah. Because this was never about saving the system. Noah's eyes met his. Quiet. Focused. It was about saving the man they built to destroy it. They activated the keys simultaneously. The cube lit up one final time. Not with data. Not with voice. With a choice. A screen blinked on. Final integrity restoration option. One execution only. Select one. Reveal, upload full data to public grid. Contain, encrypt and lock data permanently. Transfer, reassign entire system under new identity. 3 paths. No do-over. Jenna stared. It's yours, she said to Noah. He stepped toward the console. And stopped. Because he saw what they couldn't. He saw the 4th option, buried beneath the screen. A line of code only his ID could render. Option 4, rewrite. Not a leak. Not a deletion. A rewrite of the entire framework, the system, the history, the commands, rewritten in his voice. Not to erase what had happened, but to reshape what would come next. Jenna whispered, "What is it?" He didn't speak. Malik did. You see it, don't you? Noah nodded slowly. They left a back door. Malik stepped beside him. Only for you. Noah's breath trembled. I don't want this power. But it wants you, Malik said. Silence. Jenna looked between them. If you rewrite the system, you don't just expose it. You become it. Noah stared at the console. Then maybe that's the price. He reached toward the command. Hand trembling. And paused. Before I do this, he said, I need to know one thing. He turned to Malik. You said Ferris told you about my voice file years ago. About me being the final test. Malik nodded. Yeah. Then why help me? Malik met his eyes. Because I wanted to see what happened if a weapon chose not to fire. Noah entered the command. Rewrite, initiate. The screen